Okay, in step 6, this step we create our cumulative cost grid. In in this step, literally we are going to be aggregating those 3 weighted data sets. So now we've prioritized them, and now we're going to sum them together. So up to this point, we've been working with these data layers independently, and this time we're going to start combining them. So everything has kind of led to this point, a lot of why we did that, standardizing of the range and the weighting and so on, all in order to allow us to create meaningful values when we start to aggregate the data. So the cumulative cost grid is going to be important. It'll be an input into that optimization of the development of the transmission line. So there's a dialog here. We're pretty much going to be replicating somewhat what's shown here. Um, this is a little bit different, because I think I was using multiple categories. So just go through the video. Um, so let me go through that with you. Go to ArcGIS Pro. And we're going to use this raster calculator again. And what we're going to do is just literally sum all of the weighted data together. So all of these that have the suffix with underscore W will be used, become part of our cumulative cost grid. So I'm going to double click the reclass of fire hazard, and I'm going to add to that the weighted reclass of distance to roads, and I'm going to add to that the reclass weighted slope. And then this output is going to be our S1. I'm just going to call it suitability. Um, you could say also cumulative cost grid, but that's a little bit longer. But I think this works. And I'm just going to run this one. Now you'll see this is uh, a really interesting map because you can see elements of those 3 input layers. You can see the slope grid. You can see that in the kind of this natural drainage patterns and so on. You can also see the fire hazard. See these squares here. You remember what that fire hazard data looked like. And you can see the roads here kind of burned into the center. That's also incorporated into the data cumulative cost grid. And the highest values of 10 are actually, in this case, the areas that are light. If we wanted to reverse that, um, so we're kind of convention here, invert the color scheme. Um, the darker areas are the higher value, around 10, and then the lighter values are this 1, right? Um, so it kind of makes sense. So you can see that it's a combination of all 3. And maybe slope you can see is predominant, and that's probably because the weight we assigned it, which was 50% of the value that we're seeing here for each grid, each of the cells. Now, that's our cumulative cost grid, and I believe that's all we needed to do for step 6.